I'm Gilbert with Burnside Brewing Company. I've been in the beer industry for over 10 years now. Burnside is about 2.5 years old. We started December 28th of 2010, and it's a collaboration of me and my business partner and our brewmaster, Jason McAdam.
My name is Jason McAdam. I'm co-owner and head brewer at Burnside Brewing Company, Portland, Oregon.
Burnside Brewing, we're located on 7th and East Burnside, right in East Portland's industrial district. We brew on a 15-barrel system. That's about 450 gallons per batch. Our system was fabricated right here in Portland. We used a local fabricator, Metalcraft Fabrication. We brewed about 2,200 barrels last year. In our second year, we expect to do over 3,000 this year. And currently, we've brewed, I'd say, about 15 different varieties of beer this year. And over the course of our history, we've brewed between 30 and 40 different varieties. But we are constantly doing some one-offs, or we'll split a batch and barrel age some. So there's a few more than that out there as well. So Portland is most definitely an IPA town with proximity to hop fields. We're about 40 minutes away from the Willamette Valley and a couple hours away from the Tri-Cities area where 90% of the hops are grown in the U.S. So IPAs are very big here, and Jason does a really nice IPA, so you have to include that. One of my personal favorites I alluded to is our oatmeal pale ale. In terms of balance, how well it pairs with food, the oatmeal pale ale is really nice. We use local Bob's Red Mill oats as well, and it's nice to support a local company.
We wanted to do something that was traditional, pale ale, single hop, but we wanted to add oats to it. A lot of people make pale ales and they seem to be kind of thin. The oats give it viscosity, give it some substance, some body. So we want to bring back a classic pale ale with a little bit more mouthfeel, a little more creamy head.
And I would say our Sweet Heat has got to be the third.
Sweet Heat is kind of a baby of mine. It started out some years ago. It's Calypso. I changed the grain bill up a little bit, and we're using a little different peppers, but a big fan of the Caribbean and Caribbean food. It was based on a Caribbean chutney. So in the Caribbean, they would use, in place of apricot, mango. Mango has a high brick content, which is sugar content. In brewing, it's real difficult to work with because if you use too much, it's really sweet and syrupy. Apricot, on the other hand, has some sugar to it, but has more of a tartness, which I think works well with an American wheat ale. And then, of course, Scotch bonnet pepper is part of the Chinense family, habanero family. They've got a really bright, fruity aroma in addition to that spicy heat, so which would be used in a chutney as well. So that beer is just based on a chutney from the Caribbean, obviously without the red onions and bell peppers and whatnot, but the main ingredients, chilies and fruit. So
Coming up with something so different as an apricot and Scotch bonnet pepper beer has defined us, proved that we do beer and think about beer a little bit differently. Getting that validation from a gold medal at the Great American Beer Festival was really special. We have our gold medal hanging prominently at the end of the bar, so we're obviously very proud about that. The Fruit Beer Festival was really Jason's idea. It's something he'd been kicking around his head for a while.
I started thinking about it after I left the prior brewery that I had started. Growing up in Portland, born and raised, I've seen the beer industry up and down. And when it first started, there was a lot of fruit beers. A lot of lighter hopped ales, and I think that was a gateway from people that were drinking domestic beers to get into something craft. It's been forgot about. And there's a lot of hop-forward beers, a lot of hop-heavy beers. Those are a little more difficult for people that aren't used to bitterness, hop bitterness, to get into craft beer. In addition to that, there's a ton of fruit out there, and vegetables. So I started thinking, there's a lot of festivals out there, and they all cater to people that like really big beers, and alcohol-wise, a lot of malt-forward festivals, fresh hop festivals, IPA festivals, stout festivals. A lot of these beers are, for lack of a better term, abrasive to people that aren't familiar with craft beer. So, when you're using fruit and vegetables, not all the time, but most of the time, they're delicate. So you want to use a lighter base beer, something that's not in your face. So using the lighter beers, whether they be tart or lightly hopped, and putting the fruit into them, you're creating a beer that someone per se wouldn't like, wouldn't step into that beer without fruit or step into IPA. You're giving them a gateway to get into craft beer.
And to the variety of flavors that brewing with fruit can provide. And it really gives the brewers a nice opportunity to brew something different that they might not get an opportunity to the rest of the year. You know, brewing the same recipes over and over again. Most breweries, 3 to 4 recipes are such a vast percentage of what they're doing. When they get to do some recipe formulation and have some fun and sit down and chat with some of their other brewers about, you know, which fruit they might want to use and how to integrate it into the beer and what beer they might want to use as a base, that really gives an authentic feel. So the brewers are taking chances and doing something unique, and everybody that attends the Fruit Beer Fest gets to really see an honest and earnest attempt at creating something that the brewer thinks is cool. I think that's really, you know, a great opportunity for the Fruit Beer Fest. And when you're brewing beers specifically for a fest like this, you're not going to be able to try them anywhere else. And it's the people that are the biggest winners are everybody that comes and gets to try all the beers during the course of the Fruit Beer Fest. So we really have high hopes for the future of the Fruit Beer Festival. We really enjoy having the festival on premises here, but expect we're probably going to outgrow the facilities we have here, even with the addition of 7th Street. So we're thinking at some point we might need to relocate to a larger facility, and that would allow us to, you know, include more brewers at some point in the future and have more guests. So Forbes just wrote an article about the 5 cities to visit this summer, and one of the reasons to visit Portland was the Fruit Beer Festival. And you know, they worded it that only a place as wacky and odd as Portland would actually have an entire festival devoted to fruit beers. And I thought that was pretty cool that came out of his head, and we executed it and people received it, and people are equating that as something funky and cool about Portland. It's kind of neat to be included in the fabric of what makes Portland different.